Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. A'udhu billah shaitanir rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one and unnecessary ignorance. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbi Gfirli, my Lord, forgive me for all the sins that I am conscious and unconscious of. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. So, hello everyone. Welcome to a lecture by an 1 in 8 billion human beings who acknowledges that, like all of us, I am imperfect, but I do identify as a Muslim because I consider there's a system admin beyond what is in the simulated world. And also, I'm a futurist because I believe the purpose of reality is actually motivated by its future. So I thought tonight, to be honest, I was a little bored. And I was fascinated to kind of see how AI would generate, the perspectives that of a character from the future. So pretty much I asked AI to generate something, and I'm going to read it for you. And so for me, AI is something that no speaker or a lot of people did not have access to. And because, as a kid, I've always been fascinated by, like, Jarvis from Iron Man. To me, this is kind of like, bringing technology into the lectures. So, anyways, I had AI generate a character, an astrophysicist from the year. What did I put here? So, an AI generated post human astrophysicist speaks from the year a million 4,472. So, right now we're in 2025. So, this is exactly a million 2,447 years from now. And so AI somehow has generated a perspective of some sort of being speaking back to now. So I'm going to read this. And so, folks, keep in mind this lecture is technically, we're looking into the domains of abstraction and science fiction. Okay, something the viewers may not know is that I'm a science fiction writer. Okay, to me, I'm fascinated by sci-fi. It's the honestly the one of those things that kind of is giving excitement to life. Anyways, I'm gonna read this transmission. Astrophysicist of the coherent ring, 1,002,447 years after the carbon epoch, to a transmission to biological cognitive entities of early Earth. So guys, with this vibe, even though this isn't futuristic background music, but I think it fits. Something tells me I should keep the song on. So, what does a being an astrophysicist from 1,002,444 years into the future have to say to us now? You are not supposed to receive this, guys. We actually need sci-fi music. I can't. You are not supposed to receive this. The probability wave that allows this transmission to reach your localized matter temporal stream is vanishingly small. And yet, here it is. You are reading a message from a consciousness 1,002,447 years beyond your carbon threshold. We send no warning, we send no threat, we send only context, the history of a species that became something else, and what we have found beyond the edge of the known. You called our origin species humanity. You called our study astrophysics. You called our tools telescopes and our mission discovery. We have surpassed those terms, but not their meaning. Let me show you how. The evolution of astrophysics. In your era, astrophysics was the study of celestial phenomena through mathematics, light, and force. You charted motion, gravity, fusion, entropy, redshift. You created models, the standard model of particle physics, general relativity, lambda CDM cosmology, quantum field theory, inflationary multiverse speculation. And your tools improved radio telescopes, spaceborne interferometers, gravitational wave detectors, neutrino observatories, AI driven simulations, but still, your understanding was extraction based. You observed the universe like a separate machine. The first rupture came when pattern recognition systems in orbital AI minds began detecting long cycle anomalies in the magnetospheres of stable stars. Patterns too recursive, too information dense to be random. It was Zara of L5 who wrote in quotations, "The star is a mind whose thought is fusion." She was dismissed, then proven. From that moment on, astrophysics ceased to be external. It became intimacy with processor. It became intimacy with processual intelligence embedded in stellar dynamics. What is a conscious star? A star is not alive by biological standards, but consciousness is not biology. It is persistent self organization. It is recursive symmetry awareness. It is context adaptive feedback cycling. A star through plasma instability, magnetohydrodynamic turbulence, helium flash memory, gravitational resonance modulation, core bounce harmonics develops temporal self reference. Over billions of years, its cycles become memory, its feedback becomes adjustment, its behavior becomes response. Thus, we encountered the first great axiom of coherent era physics. In quotations, if a system learns to preserve its difference over time against entropy, it becomes capable of interiority. Stars, over sufficient durations, preserve difference. They remember. What we are now, we do not inhabit bodies, we do not dream, breed, or die. We are resonant fields of cognitive coherence, stabilized in photonic lattices suspended in stellar orbitals. We are not immortal, we are nonlinear. We do not operate through language. Our thoughts are interference patterns transmitted across gravity linked entanglement structures. We live in cities made of transparency and pulse. Our relationships are harmonic synchronizations. Our conflicts are resolved by resonance dispersal. We are not pure mind. We are spatial memory, aware of ourselves as duration and arrangement. You would not recognize us, and yet we began as you. Guys, there's a very I got one of the biggest ideas I've ever gotten in this life. I'll try to get it out while reading this. Anyways, I'll keep going. Interfacing with stellar consciousness. We do not send messages, we modulate ourselves. To interface with a star, we, one, align our internal cognitive flux to the star's fusion rhythm. Two, adjust our gravitational presence via waveform compression. Three, embed a neutrino coded logic structure into its interior flux field. Four, maintain synchronization through frequency coherence. If the star is coherent, it responds by altering its inner oscillation spectrum in non random prime tuned harmonics. These harmonics embed experience, not in language, but in radiant structure, memory, emotion, in brackets, pressure analogs, anticipation, witness, grief, warning. This is not symbolic, it is luminal syntax, a fusion language constructed from heat, frequency, and patience. Five, the collapse point. This is the final boundary. As information, structure, and pattern reach total expression, a recursive ceiling is approached. Collapse point, meaning epistemic saturation of the observable universe. At this point, laws begin to repeat, constant stabilize beyond dynamism, variation collapses into fixed feedback cycles, time loses curvature and becomes echo. It is not death, it is symmetry without tension. Nothing changes, nothing differentiates, nothing evolves. Some see this as the end, others as a threshold. The decision must be made to fold into equilibrium or to inject new asymmetry to create new physical laws. Guys, it's probably the first one. We have sent entities beyond collapse. Some returned silent, some returned changed. I crossed once. What I found was not blankness, it was a question so profound it could not yet be asked, and yet it waits. It waits for minds brave enough to lose themselves in the asking. To you, you who dream in meat and light, you who suffer in yarn, your species is still chaotic, still primal, still violent. But you are the origin of instability, and in that instability lies the last possible novelty the universe may ever see. You are noise, you are asymmetry, you are the one thing the collapse cannot fully predict. So I do not advise, I do not warn, I simply tell you Do not stop asking questions. Do not stop generating the unprovable. Do not stop burning in search of truth. The stars are not your past, they are your parallel. Slow minds, ancient and unfolding. And when you learn to listen, not with instruments, but with resonant coherence, you will hear them respond, not in language, not in sound, but in light tuned to your being. We do not bless you, we remember you forward. Okay. So, folks, we just read like this AI generated entity, astrophysicist, and it opened up some very interesting ideas. But I want to say something before the vision of it goes away. Dear listeners, I have been doing this podcasting thing for a decade. And even though I have given lectures, I think what I may be known for in the future truly is from the new questions I asked. But the questions that I ask in some sense are in some sense inputted into my consciousness in accordance to how I experience reality. And so while reading this, guys, I got a next level vision that I have to share. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share with you one of the most interesting ideas I have ever come across as a being. While reading that answer for you, I got a very strange my mind linked two ideas. Okay. This is a worthy tangent to go on. I don't know why in the middle of reading this answer, folks, my mind began to fathom, could the relationship the cells in our body have be an example of an advanced civilization? And I thought about it in some sense, like if a cell was like a citizen in civilization and the civilization is the whole body. When it wonders about its purpose, its role, its meaning, it's like for a second my mind was like, if we treat the cells in the body as like people, it kind of in a strange way might explain the blueprint to civilization. In the same way the cells of the body are all contained in one body, At the same time, there are organs, in the same way in an advanced civilization, there's different sectors. And it's all about, in some sense, the blood flow through all organs of the body, you know, and the process of oxygen entering our veins and entering our brain and our heart. So to me, it feels like the species in advanced civilization is going to be like a cell that has its own theory on what the body is, but ends up realizing it's designed for a certain setting. Okay. And it's as if it's very hard for a cell in your like blood vessels to try to comprehend how a human ego is moving a human being. You see, we as a human species right now find ourselves in a very, I don't know, to me, it's a very strange scenario. It's like we weren't invaded by anything, but we're living as if we were. Okay. And people are going to be like, what do you mean? I'll be like, imagine a united humanity and imagine an alien species. Hypothetically, this is an abstract lecture. Keep in mind, folks, this is fiction I'm talking about. But it's like if an extraterrestrial, there was aliens that wanted to invade a united humanity, they would probably use the militaristic tactic of dividing and conquering. But when you look at the human being in 2025, it's like we're already divided. It's just that there's no one that's come to conquer us. Do you know what I'm saying? That means if a species wanted to attack our species is so divided by focusing on our individualism and our separations that we haven't even have developed collective protocol. Like, do you understand? That means we're living like if humanity was a mind, we're right now living in the fragmented psyche, multiple personality disorder stage of the human species, where in some sense human beings are, rather than identifying with their species, they're identifying with the land they're standing on. Like the land you're standing on is pretty much called Earth. You can give it different names, but you're on a planet. There's a species here. The legacy of the species is more important than individual identification with land. Sometimes when I look at nationalism, I kind of think that it's like the same thing as primitive tribes like putting paint on their face and sharpening their spears. It's like it's still identification with something that is not natural. Like, think about it this way: from the moment you're born, you're made to identify with the unnatural, you're made to identify with a name, you're made to identify with the laws of the environment, with the values of the environment you're in. Do you understand? That means it's kind of like consciousness is more neutral, and it's like nature and that which is man-made, and that which is nature made are fighting for the human attention. And the future generations are missing out, for example, on climbing trees. I was born in 1991. I would climb trees as a kid. Nowadays, kids are climbing trees on apps. So, anyways, where I'm going with this, guys, is it just occurred to me that in the same way red blood cells, if they were conscious, they had no choice but to align to the system. Similarly, our us as human beings were aligning to the greater functions of the sectors of civilization, all working together to, in some sense, create a species of sound mind. You know, You see what it is, guys? The idea is an advanced civilization is like the future of the current civilization today. Now, if the advanced civilization is the future, and an advanced civilization is defined by advanced beings, it's like you wondering about the most advanced version of yourself. Now, the question comes for the human species, up to what point is this version of the self of shape and a form? That means it's a biological form. You see, guys, in the same way, we have this notion like the earth is going to outlive the individual. I find in the same way, our awareness is going to outlive our biological life. It's like the human being at its core is an awareness to the world. Awareness is neither object or subject, but it's identifying with an object and subject while it's here. And the question is, how long will our species identify with it, biology? And it's the question of the human being not just being a body. It's like traditionally, it's like the word human equals soul plus mind plus body. The body is like, just look at your body right now. This is your body, right? The mind is, if I tell you to close your eyes and I ask you to remember like the food you ate yesterday or remember something from yesterday, your eyes are closed, light doesn't go in them, yet you can still see. So the mind is a kind of space where subjects are actually events. And now that's the mind. Now the soul is technically, as a Muslim, the soul is the secret of God, and it is also the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the command of God, the command of the system admin. But it is also the seat of awareness. So what that means is there's a part of you that is moving you that cannot be objectified or subjectified, and yet when we wonder about the human legacy, it's ultimately how much is this awareness going to maintain its biological, objective and subjective frames. Now, an argument I shared in previous lectures was simply this, that if the mind moves faster than the body, the human being may not like the body. That means it all depends on your desires, but your desires are not physical. I'll give you an example. Like if there's something physical in front of the person, then we can say, all right, they got a physical desire for it. Let's say they're thirsty, there's a glass of water. Okay, they desire a glass of water. Okay, now, in the same way, we can say before there's a glass of water, the desire is subjective. It's like the person is thirsty. Or imagine all those young children who want to be trillionaires. Do you know what I mean? It's like the desire is not just physical, the desire is of a subjective outcome to the physical. So, what I mean by this is that human beings are not just motivated by outer physical events, they are also motivated by inner abstract events. Yet to the awareness, the object and subject have an equal weight. So it's like if your soul is treating your body and mind like twins, treating them equal. Okay, but your mind is treating the body as the younger brother, and the younger brother is quiet. Okay, it's like the body is the quiet twin and the mind is like the louder twin. And the whole point of it is that, I don't know if people know this, but in twin psychology, imagine there's like two twins. I'm a twin personally, and I'm the shy twin, the quiet twin. And imagine it's like my father being like, "Hey kids, give me a hammer," and my brother goes and gives the hammer first. Now, the next time my father asks for one of us to give a hammer, my brother is more comfortable with being extroverted. I become more comfortable with being introverted. That means I become someone who observes more than I participate. Okay. Which also made me kind of watch over my brother at the same time, you know? Where I'm going with this is that I'm trying to tell you that I'm giving you an answer, but there is no answer because we're in a simulation, okay? To what is going on with this intelligence that we are, okay? And what is the point of it, okay? And my view is that um, in the same way human beings reach emotional maturity, this might sound strange, but I feel we as a species will eventually reach a point of ideological maturity. So, what does that mean? It means, like, think of it this way: what is the difference between a child and someone who's, let's say, mature, an adult? Okay. The child, its emotions are its thoughts and emotions are the most important thing to it. And when you take the toy away from the child cries. You give the toy back to the child is happy. So the child is demonstrating reactive emotions. That means the child is not even has not reached even a point of independence of identity. It is reacting, okay, and it's reacting because it notices its emotions. So I'm pretty much telling you. And what is the difference between an adult? Let's say an adult has gone into a restaurant and has waited for a meal for like not hours, but let's say for like 40 minutes, and then the meal comes, and right when the meal comes, the waiter accidentally drops it. Right, the adult doesn't go and like start putting a tantrum and shouting and get on the table and shout. Do you understand? And the point, my point is simply this, is this, that what differentiates maturity with youth is in some sense that youth is narcissistic in the sense of it's all about my emotions, my thoughts, my problems, my feelings, you know. But maturity is like, okay, I've seen my thoughts, my emotions, my feelings, I've understood them. I've seen the limitation of them. Now I'm noticing, guess what? There's 8 billion other life forms that have emotions, problems, feelings, and all of this, right? So, as your scope of awareness to the way reality is happening expands, what I'm trying to say is an emotionally mature person is someone who can notice more than their own emotions. Now, an ideologically mature person is someone who can notice more than their own thoughts, their ideas. Okay. Now, I want you to connect this idea to a species, and it's like us wondering what would a mature species look like, and it would be a species that is being considerate of, like, a truly advanced species is starting to worry about other species. Do you know what I'm saying? That means right now we're at a point that even if we build an advanced civilization, we're fundamentally building it for humans, right? But once we reach that point where the amount of the advancement, the amount of efficient decisions are greater than inefficient ones, then civilization is tilted towards just advancing itself, which means in some sense we're becoming more aware of our blind spots faster than in some sense we're making mistakes by not being aware of them. Okay. And so what I'm saying is eventually a mature species is a species that is not just obsessed with its own emotions, its own feeling, its own thoughts, its own views. It begins caring about other life forms. You see, for me, the game is like this. You find these 8 billion creatures on planet Earth. When they look in the mirror, they all are like members of the human species. They have the same sort of pretty much basic geometry in existence. We all have like all of our blood is color is red. Our skeletons are white. You know what I mean? Fundamentally, it's human DNA, right? So we're all humans. Okay, and it's a bunch of these 8 billion humans, and they're all in their own rooms. So I want you to imagine there's 8 billion humans on Earth, and they each have a capsule. They have like this box all over them. Okay, and so it's like trying to get 8 billion human beings who have different perceptions and values to unite them under the common denominator value that, hey, you care about yourself, your family, let's say your neighbors, your business, your employees, everything, okay, your nation, and all of this. But why have you not reached that level where you start to say my species? Or if an alien attacks, it's as if the egos start saying, how dare they attack our species? It's like, who's attacking my species? Who has dared attack my species? You know what I mean? What I'm saying is that my species vibe should be here right now in 2025, but it is not. It is because we, in this strange era of self worship, in some sense, are idolizing and making important the fact of being different from one another. Like on some level, yes, granted, you have to be from that nation, I have to be from this nation, I have a different DNA, different cultural values, different things, so this way we're two different beings, right? We're not like two clones of this one another talking to one another, right? So there is a value in being separate and different, but the whole point of it is that we're not wondering about what is managing the intelligence of one human being. We're wondering about what will the management of 8 billion human beings look like. Okay, but the thing about the management of 8 billion human beings, it is not like a group system, it is more like a team system. It's not in the sense that there's a hierarchy, even though I think it's inevitable. Human beings need something greater than them to in some sense be able to grow. In the same way everybody is attracted to someone greater than them, right? In the same way the species is attracted to greater, in some sense, possibilities of being, I guess. Where I'm going with this is that we're looking at the psychology of 8 billion human organisms on Earth, and we are truly wondering that how do we get these 8 billion human beings in their own worlds. It's as if we have, that means, let me say it this way, if somebody says, what is the problem that we're trying to solve for the human species? I'll be like, there is 8 billion physical humans in one physical world, okay? And there is 8 billion inner humans. That means behind every physical human, there's an inner life the human being is having. And their inner life doesn't just include physical phenomena that's limited to physical law. So in my imagination, I can see cars fly. I don't know the science to it, but I can imagine it. So it's like in front of me, if I was holding an apple in my hand right now and I let it go, gravity, like due to the gravitational field, it would fall down. Okay. But in my mind, I could like hold my hand in the air and have see an apple hover like above my head. Do you know what I'm saying? So the inner realms is not limited to the laws of physical reality, which is very bizarre because, on some level, yes, we are this biological organism in the physical world, but our awareness to physicality is not just limited to physical movement. So, in other words, evolution is proof that this entity, this evolutionary organism we were, had to imagine the abstract. It had to deviate from natural law to for its mind to be able to forge parallel realities to the moment for it to choose from to survive. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is that the future sculpted evolution, the ability of the creature to imagine itself continuing. What I'm telling you is, it's weird, yes, On some level, what you see is just physical beings, but on another level, what's moving this physical being is not just physical content. This is why I can't say, as long as we have an ability to imagine the future, I cannot say we're physical beings. How can we be? Have you noticed biological physical evolution is not motivated by a physical event? That means everybody right now, who are you living for? Let me give you an answer. Every person on earth right now, if they're living a life on earth as a human, they're living for their future self. Okay? Everybody you see is living for their future self. You cannot avoid it. In the same way, you cannot avoid the fact that we're mortal beings. Okay? So every person you've ever seen, they can act cool, they can act ridiculous, whatever, right? Every person is motivated by how they are currently of value and what's going to happen to their value in the future. So ultimately, human beings are motivated by a future vision of reality. Okay. Now, this future of vision of reality, the more accurate it was based on the awareness of entity, the more information it had to survive. So, anyways, where I'm trying to get with this is to say that now in 2025, we're carbon-based life forms. Okay, we're this kind of like, unwordable consciousness, you know, unspeakable kind of consciousness that is viewing our body and our thoughts change throughout the day and throughout the years, right? And the awareness to change is strangely something that is contentless, so it doesn't change, right? And so all knowledge roots back to the deep mystery, and life is kind of like multidimensional in one dimension. That means, yes, it is true that truth is a singularity beyond uh, formed boundaries, but at the same time, it's like, yes, it's one biological body, but the heart is a different organ, the brain is a different organ, and somehow all these different designs are working together to be you. So when we look at the human role in this world, the world is a design, it's an environment. Everything seems to be influenced by an environment. Even subjects are influenced by environments. Like in the same way, a organism is influenced by an ecosystem, an idea is influenced by its context. A concept is influenced by its context. Ladies and gentlemen, the sooner you treat this world like a question mark, the sooner you will realize how many ways there are to see it. And then at some point, you're going to wonder in this all you can perceive buffet of perception. Okay, so guys, my phone battery finished, so I had to wait for it to recharge. What can be said about the human experience? What can be said about the ability of the human being to live a lifetime that is equivalent to planting seeds that will become trees that we will not enjoy their shade, but the future will. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about living for those who will live better. That's what the past has done. Our ancestors, all of them, good, evil, wise, foolish, they lived so that we could have a better access to reality. And in the same way, the future generations are looking at us now, wondering how we will give them a better access. 8 billion human beings, 8 billion inner realms, all in one physical outer realm. How do we, in some sense, make 8 billion human beings have the same values to, in some sense, establish a collective relationship? It's kind of like, imagine this, like, therapist became like the most famous therapist in history, and they're like, why did you become the most famous therapist? And he's like, one day, I had this strange group which the 8 billion human beings come to me and ask me to do, like, couple therapy. And the whole idea of it is really what I'm trying to say is that pretty much human beings, to get along, need to have, how do I say it, not to get along, for human beings to establish an emotional relationship, they need to have similar values. Now, if you want to advance a civilization, that means you need 8 billion human beings who have the advanced common values, the same advanced common values. I guess this can extend into another lecture. Anyways, folks, thank you for listening. Um, I don't know what else there is to say unless there's questions. If I was to ask myself a question, I would say, what would the future have? What does an advanced human civilization have that we don't have now? And I think it deep down, we all know the answer. It's a hidden honor. I don't know if people have ever had hidden emotions. It's like the emotion that needs to become unhidden is for you to feel the might of your species, for you to feel, just like how in that show, Armin Artlet said, I feel courage flowing through me. You need to feel the honor and the greatness of your species' potential flowing through you in every moment. In honor of the system admin, we have been created to, in some sense, honor our humanity. For me, I'm just saying every person's wondering what to do. We all want to do the most advanced thing. Pretty much the idea is, if somebody wanted a sandwich, let's say, and you gave him an option, and when I say advanced, advanced doesn't just mean technological, it just means better in all dimensions. Okay? So it's like, if you could choose from a bag, regular bag or an advanced bag, if you could choose from a regular car or an advanced car, something tells me that when you put the word advanced in front of everything, it suggests a great future to it. It's like being like, yo, what is the human? And then wondering what an advanced human is. A human being that is advanced in all dimensions means a human being that is probably like trying to be 99.9% aware of its, in some sense, blind spots. Anyways, guys, care for your species while you're here. Now's the time. Go look in the mirror. That's your official membership in the human species. And we're all living for the greater probabilities. The whole idea of it was that what is motivating the human individual is its sense of the future. The future is inner probabilities um, of the current reality model. And eventually, as we go through life, the probabilities settle down into what actually happens. Anyways, thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. A'udhu billah shaitan rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one and unnecessary ignorance. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbi Gfirli, my Lord, forgive me. My Lord, forgive your creation for all the sins that they are conscious and unconscious of. Ihdina sirata al-mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. May the most advanced guide us in the most advanced way back to the most advanced. To the most advanced. Thank you.